Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Today, uh, man, you know, I've spent the last 40 years learning stuff, you know, testing stuff, measuring stuff, building stuff. And I think it's time to just realize um, that you've been right the whole time. I don't know why. I mean, it's just easier. It's, you're just right. I think the Harley Benton thing has really got me thinking about, like, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and when you're wrong, you got to admit you're wrong. So there's a few things I want to kind of go through here, and I guess just kind of talk out, and you guys can get in the comments and chat. And I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a vulnerable moment here, a little bit, but first of all, tone wood is everything. Um, a maple neck is brighter because it's maple. A rosewood neck is darker because it's darker. I mean, it would make sense. The more you spend on a capacitor, the better the tone is. So if you buy like one of those $35 or $50 Bumblebee caps, they do sound better than an orange drop, and definitely better than a ceramic. Um, Same thing with like wire. I've probably not been super honest about this, that cloth wire does sound warmer than PVC wire. It's the plastic chokes frequencies. Probably not been super upfront about that. Um, Orange drops have more mids. We all know this. I don't know why the industry doesn't come out and say it. Um, Nitrocellulose is definitely a better material because of how it lets the guitar breathe. I think I've tried to disprove that for a long time, and I think I'm just wrong. Poly, it just traps tone. I mean, it just does, or it doesn't let it in. I mean, it just creates such a barrier, and it's heavy. You know, um, I've always said that you want less resonance in a guitar, so you do want more resonance, um, because resonance and it creates sustain, and usually heavier guitars. Again, this goes back to tone wood. Do make more sustain, um, and if you live in the United States, a made in the USA guitar is the way to go. If you don't live in the United States, don't get one. Um, Probably the biggest thing is, and this is what's kind of got me going on this whole conversation, is that this whole Harley Benton thing. I mean, I haven't even got it yet, but I have to be wrong about this. All of you people in the comments cannot be wrong, and there's enough of you to disprove it, that these Harley Bentons are just as good as Gibsons. They're just as good as guitars that are way more than that. I mean, um, and you folks that have Gibsons, those guitars are way better than Epiphones and way better than everything else. And um, yeah, I mean, brand doesn't matter unless you're given a free guitar. Then it matters, I guess. Um, and I think as much as time as I spend messing around with gear and making pickups better and stuff, the tone's in your hands anyway, so it doesn't really, like, none of it really matters. Tubes are better for sure. Um, electrons know they're in a vacuum, I guess, somehow, but they do. I mean, they do. It's mojo. Um, all digital stuff is just going to always sound digital. You know, the level of improvement is just to a point where it doesn't really matter anymore. And it's just not going to get any better, probably, because how good can it get? You know what I mean? Um, yeah. And obviously, cheap guitars have caught up to expensive guitars, and there's no point to buy an expensive guitar anymore. I get that. I do get that. You know, every guitar, probably over what, about $1,000, is just kind of a, it's kind of a scam, and you're just sort of feeding your ego to spend the money to buy a more expensive guitar. Well, there you go. Everything you've ever heard is true. Uh, I mean, there's really no point in me existing as a YouTuber or as a technical person or as an engineer. Uh, so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Obviously, I'm kidding. And for those of you that don't know, this is a joke. For those of you that don't have a sense of humor, uh, this is what it's like. This is what it's like. Science is science, y'all. Guitars are pretty easy. Guitars are very, very simple. Uh, the way an electronic signal gets created from a vibration of a string is very simple. And I don't think people realize that it's not the vibration of the string so much as it is the kinetic energy being transmitted into an electronic impulse. That's there's a there's a there's a refinement in statement there that matters. Um, yeah, resonance and sustain are they fight against each other. You know, um, a guitar that sustains more is going to resonate less. That's physics. Cloth insulation on a wire doesn't matter. Stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Capacitors, they're cool. Tolerances matter. You know, all this stuff. It's all science. I don't have to say it. You can go look up white papers. You can go look up scientific documents on all kinds of things on the internet and find this stuff. You just don't want to. Because you don't want to be told what you don't want to hear. I tell you what this Harley Benton thing has taught me is that people want to be told. So, like, if I just say, I've been doing this lately, that's not right, blah, 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 you're just whatever. And I'm like, okay, so tone, what is real? Do you just want me to say what you want me to say? Do you feel better now? How do you feel now? Do you feel better? I have validated your feelings. Whether they're true or not, doesn't matter. I just want to validate you. Do you feel validated? Do you feel better? And the answer is obviously no, because you know you're wrong. And that's why it's important to dive into a lot of this nuance with a lot of this stuff, because two things can be true at the same time. A heavy guitar can be really nice and create a lot of sustain, but there also has to be some mechanical integrity to that instrument that allow for some resonance. Otherwise, it's not fun to play, right? You want to have a guitar that's expressive on your lap, right? Capacitors do need to have a little bit of expense behind them. Otherwise, the tolerances all over the place, and you can't really map anything, right? So two things can be true at the same time. But I think what happens is we take things to a certain extreme. Same thing with this whole cheap guitar thing. People want, I don't know why, it's people are convinced that I hate cheap guitars, and I'm not. I have to tell you, I've been checking my UPS tracking for this Harley Benton deal. I hope it comes tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to, and I'm sort of like really excited for New Guitar Day. For my first Harley Benton, I'm genuinely excited because I want to see what's going on here. I'm serious. Like, I'm really genuinely excited about it. So, but people hear what they want to hear out of a video. Like, I look at a comment and it's like, you hate cheap guitars and you blah, 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 and you've already made up your mind about this Harley Benton thing. It says it in the title, and I'm like, okay, well, A, you didn't watch the whole video. B, you're just hearing what you want to hear. Like, sit down and actually think. Like, actually have thoughts going through your dome. Like, instead of just regurgitating BS that you've heard on the internet, like, allow yourself a few minutes to just say, okay, what's really going on here? Like, does anybody take any time to just be like, what's really going on? How is it possible to make a guitar and ship it halfway around the world for that kind of money? How is it possible? How is it possible? What is really going on? I'm just asking questions. I don't care about the answers. I don't care about the results. Like, if the result is it is possible and these things are amazing and everybody should be playing them, then fine. But so far, there's something going on here. I don't know. So I just want to know. Uh, I want to think beyond those common tropes that are just said over and over and over and over and over and over, and we just are expected to believe them. And if I say anything outside of those common things that I was joking about at the beginning of this video, people get really upset. And all I want to do is put it out there so that you and me can be like, okay, what's really going on? What's really going on? And we can have a real conversation about it, right? And I'm not this way just about guitar stuff. Just so you know, you know, like, I want to know who shot JFK. We all know it was the CIA, but I'm just saying, like, I want to know. I want to know stuff. You know, I obviously know the moon landing was real. You guys don't have to come at me with that. I know the Earth is not flat. You don't have to come at me with that thing. There's a few things that I have done a lot of research on and I do know, but it's like this kind of stuff is like literally the flat earther or the moon landing denier of guitar stuff. It's like, dude, okay, physics is pretty easy. And it's actually way easier than the moon landing. Guitars are super simple. So, I just wanted to make fun of those folks for a little bit today. And I hope you have a good Sunday. I'm going to go watch the Formula One race.